Alright, in this video we're going to look at Visual Basic. We're going to be creating if statements and also using radio buttons. Okay, so let's go ahead and name this. I'm going to call this if statements. Okay, so I'm actually going to create two different type of if statements, or use them in two different ways. Okay, so for example, I'm going to need a label, alright, and that's where our messages are going to be going, alright, and so I'm just going to put this down here. And then we'll also need a button to check our answer. Alright, and we'll also need a text box. So, here. So this will be where we could actually write something in. Okay, so that looks pretty good right there. So I'm going to go to my button here. And by the way, I clicked on this earlier. If you ever need to go in here and just erase all of that, you can do that. It's fine. Okay, so let's say, we'll say if text box 1, oops, you can see I hit enter there, text box 1 dot text, so we're saying the text that ends up in the text box is, let's say, greater than or less than 10, then something's going to happen. Okay, and actually we're going to put this in quotations. Then we're going to change the label dot text to equal something. So what we're saying here is if someone guesses 10, then what's going to happen if they don't guess 10? Because if it's greater or less than 10, it cannot be 10. And so for that, I'm going to type in some sort of message then. So you could say something like, you are wrong. Okay? There. So let's try that out. So if I'm hit play here, and I type in 11, it says you are wrong. Cool. Doesn't. And if I do 10, what will happen? It'll just stay the same. I'd have to actually play it from the start to show that, but if I type in 10 button, nothing happens. Okay, and that's not very interactive. That's not very interesting at all. So what we need to do then is add something else. So right now it's on if. So what happens if it's not that? So what we need to type in is else if text box 1 dot text is, let's say, equal to 12. Then what will happen? Well, the label is going to be something else. So label 1 dot text equals you are correct. There. And that works out just fine. So hit play. I do 11. You are wrong. I'll change this to 10. Hit button. Still says you are wrong. Okay, so what are we doing wrong here? Oh, that's why. I need to have the same number. If it's greater than or equal to 12, greater or less than 10, then the other answer has to be 10. Even if it's 10.1, it won't work. But there we go. I changed this to 10, so that should work now. So let's try it. 10. Button 1, you are correct. Yay. So that's how that works. So really what you could change this to even is, let's say, I wonder if I can change this to a word. Yeah, that worked out pretty good. So if text box 1 dot text is greater than or equal to Sam, meaning if it's not equal to Sam, then you are wrong. Or I could type in here, maybe this make more sense to you, password. If it's anything but password, then you are wrong. Else if the text box 1 dot text equals Sam, or let's change this to password to make more sense for you, password, then we could say something like you can enter. Alright, let's see if this works. So I type in cat, you are wrong. How about Bill? You are still wrong. How about Sam? Uh-oh, it didn't work. What did I do wrong? Oh, duh. That's right. It's password, not Sam. I changed it. And you can enter. Great. And you could also do other things. Like, for example, and you should try this as well, is I could right-click on the if statements, do add, Windows form, call this one form 2, which is fine. What I could do on here is I could say, you know, have some sort of, and I could change this label to be some secret message. Okay, secret message. Ooh. And I think you already know how to do this, but you can change the size of things as well. Yeah. So secret message on form 2. You could have pictures. You could have on there the level to the game, whatever it may be. You could do there. And just like we've done before, you could have form2.show. So I hit play. I get it wrong. Nothing happens. You are wrong. Hit my password button, and then my secret message comes up in a separate form or a new level or however you want to make that. Okay. I just realized I skipped a little bit here, but what I added it was a couple radio buttons. They're on the side, and also another button. And if you go into that code, what I did here is did an if else statement similar to what's above, but instead it's not what equals, but rather true. So this one says if radio button 1 dot checked, so if it's checked, equals true. So if it is checked and it's true, so it needs to be, if it is checked, it is true, okay, then something will happen. And in this case, it's messagebox.show, parenthesis, quotation, you are really 14, quotation, parenthesis. All right, and then again, if it's not that, what else can happen? So if else, radio button 2 dot checked, so not the first one, but the second one is checked, equals true, then messagebox.show, you really are 18, end if. So when you run this, it'll say you really have 14. If I move it down here, you're really 18. That's what it should be doing. Now, if you were to run this without having either of them checked, nothing happens. Okay. So it's different than a math equation because one has to be checked, one of them has to be true, and then make sure you end it with an end if, and that ends the subclass for button 2. Okay. All right. Back to the other part. All right, next thing we're going to want to do is go back to this form, and we didn't actually use this label down here, so I'm going to pop this up here, and oops, see, I don't actually need this. I double-clicked it. You can just leave it there, or you can highlight it and delete it as well. Okay, I'm going to go back to this form though, and I don't like how it says label 2. I could change this to something like enter password. All right, and instead of button 1, I could actually call it something else. Maybe I could say enter or check it. All right, and then the label 1 down here, you know, it says if it was right or wrong, I believe, but I'm going to have another label actually as well. So I'm going to bring that over here, and this label is going to say attempts on it. Okay, and this one will be, I don't want anything displayed, so I'm just going to erase that. You want to be able to see it. You can see it here, but yeah. Okay, so back to form 1 then. What I'm going to do is, you know, under check it, right now it just shows another form if you got it correct or not. You know, you are wrong, or it says you can enter. So when I play this, you know, I type something in, check it, you are wrong. But I want this attempts to actually count how many times I'm trying to check it. Right now it just keeps saying you are wrong. All right, so what I can do with that is I need to declare a variable at the top here. So I'm going to declare dim, right, and I'm going to call this one attempts as an integer. Oops, integer. And also we can start at 0. So that way it's going to always restart at 0. All right, and then every time this button's clicked, we want to count up by 1. So how can we do this? Well, it's basically it's math. So I'm going to say attempts equals attempts plus 1. So every time it's clicked, attempts will add 1 to itself. Okay, and then we actually want that to show up somehow too, though. So like right now, if I hit play, even though I'm hitting check it, the attempts are going up. We just don't have it displayed anywhere. Okay, so what we need to do then is say, instead of message box, I believe it's label 3 that we put in there. Label 3 dot text equals, what do you want to say? Well, we'd really want to say, like, put in quotations, attempts, or you could say attempts, whatever. Then quotation, all right. Anyways, this size be in parentheses as well. All right. Now this is only going to show attempts, right? So if I hit play here, I enter something, check it, just shows attempts like that. We actually need the number to show up as well, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do and we need the variable as well. So the variable is called attempts. All right, and that will be displayed after it. And you might want to put a space right here. That way there's a space in between this and the actual word attempts. So I'm going to hit play here, type in something, check it, and you can see my attempts are now counting up, which is super exciting, I know. And if you get it right, it'll still count it as an attempt. Oh, sorry, my password is password. I'm going to check it, and there we go, secret message. But you can still see it went up to 18 because this happened above it, so it still occurs. Okay, I hope that's helpful to you. I think that's pretty much all I want to cover. Again, you can declare this something else. Like if you want to call this checks, you just need to make sure you checks equals checks plus 1, and then the attempts, and then and then you want the variable again. So again, you could call this anything else. You could call this x, whatever you would like. It doesn't really matter. The idea is you're declaring a variable. I use the word attempts, but you could have dog, cat, ABC, whatever you want. Okay, and added 1 each time, and it displays. And then the text box, if it doesn't equal password exactly, then you are wrong. But if you enter password exactly, the equals, then you can enter, and it forms the it shows the other form. And then the same with the radio button. It's still an if-else statement. That works as well. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you learned a lot. All right, and we're going to test this out.